Hey guys, Wacky Player here, and last night I hit 2 mil GP on Galaxy of Heroes, and actually talking to someone in chat, I was like, am I not a new player anymore? And they were basically like, yeah, you're about to basically enter mid game, you know? And there's no clear cookie cutter like you've hit X number, therefore you're in mid game. The only thing closest to that would be like 4 mil, you get to access Proving Grounds. But it's a good estimate that like by now I've been playing for 2 months under a year, about 10-ish months, right? And I'm about mid game. I'm entering the mid game. So I just hit 2 mil after I was remodding a bunch of characters that I had lying around that were kind of junk, and I was just like, all right, let me mod them up because I'm actually having to use my junk in Grand Arena and whatnot, and everything's way more messy than it was. And I hit 2 mil, and I was like, oh shit, I'm here. What the fuck happened? And so today I wanted to talk about a little bit of like a reflection of like what I've learned, maybe some things you guys could learn, and just my thoughts on the game and how I've changed, the mistakes I've made, everything I've learned, right? So one of the things that I've learned is that you'll never be as ready as you think you'll be. So I always I always think, oh, I'll be way further ahead at a certain time frame than I actually am. So, for instance, when I was leveling up, I was or on my second account, I was like, oh, by level 60, I'll already have the TIE bomber, right? I'll be fine. Like that's 6 levels away, and I was thinking from a player with that was like level 79, or like level 80ish. I was thinking like, oh, that's so far away. Like 5 levels is so long. Uh, and then on my main account for Grand Arenas, I'm always like, oh, by this Grand Arena, I'll have Wampa Gear 11, next Grand. And I only have him like, what, Gear 9 right here? So, like, I'm saying that unless you have unlimited amounts of money, you'll never be as ready as you think you are. And you'll always feel like you're missing something in this game. And that's kind of intentional in the design, I think, because there's just so much to do. And don't get overwhelmed by that. It's natural. Everyone that's not spending like thousands of dollars, millions is a little exaggeratory, um, will feel that way. You'll always feel like you have something else to do, something's incomplete, and that's okay because gear Relic 9 is supposed to be really difficult to get, right? Fully maxing out a unit is supposed to be incredibly difficult and elusive. And so the game, as many people say, is really a resource management game. So it's really about asking yourself, what do you need? And kind of like what's the minimum you can get away with, right? And at the same time, I've talked about this in the past, but also ask yourself like why you're playing the game, because a lot of people were playing it because it's Star Wars, because we love collecting in Star Wars and whatnot, and especially with like datacrons being added to the game, it makes competitive at the higher levels of play, Kyber or Ordonia, more annoying. So people looking to eventually get there one day, it's kind of, instead of looking at something that's going to be super fun because you have all these teams, it's actually going to be, yeah, you'll have a bunch of those teams and it'll be fun, but it's also going to be super annoying because you're going to have to deal with datacrons and people that spend a lot more money on the game, and you're going to deal with everything else that you would have had to deal with plus datacrons. So, yeah. So competitive is kind of falling off for a lot of people's interest, which really sucks, and it's unfortunate, especially because like I came into the game right before Datacrons, and then just got into Grand Arena right before them, and then Datacrons started to add it to Grand Arena. And again, I don't face them because I'm only like Bronzium, I'm only 2 mil, but it's still something where it's like it's one of those things that makes it less appetizing to try harder to rank up, because I just know that on top of everything else I'm gonna have to face, um, with better players, having like, more GLs, all this crazy stuff, having like 2x, 4x, 5x more, GP than me. I'm also gonna have to deal with datacrons that expire, so any resource I invest in it like go away, and then I have to like re-roll and hope I get something good. So it's just something that's unfortunate. So ask yourself, yeah, why you play. And I have this like philosophy of everyone's either between a collector or a competitive player. and it's a spectrum, and somewhere that you find a balance between the two. And for me, I've found out that I'm well, I guess there might be another axis, another dimension to this. I just thought of, but also I play for fun, right? So I think that lines up more with the collector side of things. Maybe collector's a wrong choice of words. I feel like it's not, because this game is so Star Wars based and we really just play it because we love certain characters and we find that fun. But also, the gameplay of them is also very enjoyable for a lot of these characters. And so what I've also experienced is that, like, I don't want to be frustrated. And so to have more fun, I also kind of have to balance out my roster with not just complete collector stuff, but also some competitive stuff that I may not want to do, but actually might be kind of fun, Like, for instance, CLS team, right? I never thought that I would really find CLS, like, that roster fun. I was never really interested in that. I'm like, yeah, it's Luke, I'm just main character energy. I'm like, yeah, it's cool. Just I'm good. Han Solo, cool character. Chewbacca, cool character. I'm just like more interested in the bounty hunters, right? But then playing them, I'm like, wow, this team does so much fucking damage. This is so, like, cool, Playing Vader, Piet, like all these characters, I'm like, oh my god, like, so sometimes you should kind of try to dip your toes into more competitive meta teams if if you love to build off meta and just a bunch of stuff that's not what people are doing. Dip your toes in that competitive side, and competitive players, try dipping your toes in the more collector fun side of things, because maybe you'll find more enjoyment out of the game that way, finding a balance between the two, because I most certainly have. And like readjusting my farm plan, kind of going like, all right, let's try to be a little more competitive. Let's get our Wampa up to get some, solar banners. It's not like I'm super enthusiastic about Wampa. I think it'll be pretty funny to have a solo character, and I think it's free banner. So it'll be like it'll make Grand Arena a little bit more, less insufferable sometimes, Then I was like, let's fix our BAM team, because I really want my BAM team to be better. I really like it. And I'm like, okay, Bo-Katan, I'll get Enfy's Nest in there, fine, finally. And then I'll like, all right, let's bite the bullet and finish our CLS team, And then after that, I'm like, let's go mess around with their bounty hunters again. And so this is kind of where it's like, being kind of competitive here, fixing up my roster. Then I'm kind of going back for being more of a collector, right? And it just so happens that bounty hunters are also really good, but like even like your Tusken Raiders, But it's like there's probably better stuff I could technically do, like Imperial Troopers or whatnot. But I love bounty hunters, so I'm like, let me go back and fix them up, get them to gear 12, gear 13, and certain relic levels and whatnot. So that's what I would say about trying to have fun in this game and balancing it out. And another thing I can actually touch on is the squad tab while I'm here. I think using the squad tab and like either in a notebook or like literally I use the notepad in Windows to just organize my thoughts. So for instance, some people will, for modding for instance, will do like they'll have like a mod calendar, I think it's called, where they like Monday speed mods, Tuesday crit damage mods, etc. I personally don't like that, because I feel like that's really good for people that are bigger accounts that don't specifically have anything they want to farm, but they like any specific character they need to mod up. And everything could just be better. And I think that could be really useful, because then it just kind of gets you in a routine and you don't really have to think about it as much, and it's a lot less mental like effort. But I think it's not such a bad idea to I started doing this actually yesterday and I can pull it up, but just kind of write down what specifically you need, right? And maybe combine the two, where it's like, okay, I'll write down, like, for this main account, what I'm doing right now is I'm pretty sure it's offense or speed mods for BAM, or I might change it actually today to work on my Ewoks a little bit. But I think the last time I checked, I'm trying to get a better offense triangle for my BAM, or I'm trying to get the materials to enhance it. It's either or, right? So I have that written down somewhere, and since I don't really need to remember it because I've written down, so I can go check later if I want to. So like right now, if I wanted to combine both strategies, I would just focus on better offense triangle, right? But if then after that, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I didn't really want to check, and I didn't want to mess around with modding, then I would just go back to my mod calendar, you know? So I think it's useful to kind of be a little bit more precise with with what you want to farm for modding, because mods matter so much in this game. And the more I play it, the more I realize that like a player with better mods can outbeat a player with worse mods and like higher gear and relic levels. Like it's kind of crazy, and I think this is one of the best ways for free to plays and people with less GP than their opponent to actually have a lot of skill expression and be smarter than their opponent. Because if you like, if you kind of treat modding as something that's just beneficial to your characters and not really a hassle, but really something that's there for you to be better, and for you to outshine your opponents, then in the low ranks of GAC, you can perform really well. There are so many times when I'm facing these people that have 4, 5, even 7 million GP accounts, and I have 10 to 12 characters that are faster than their fastest character, you know? Like this happens so much where I literally remember seeing a Relic 5 Darth Revan with an accuracy primary arrow. It's like, are you what? You know, like, huh? What's going on there? Like I see so many speed set Vaders that are still slower than my Vader, and if like it doesn't make any sense. You know what I'm saying? Like there's resources out there like SWGOH.gg to look up your modding. That's what I use. There's even more tools. There's literal programs that you can download to make your modding better. I don't use them because I don't mind going through manually and, you know, modding myself, and I kind of actually enjoy it a little bit because I get to think, and I'm like, oh man, I got to do this, that, and everything, and I don't want to kind of offload that to a robot just yet. In the future, when it becomes more of a hassle, probably I'll download it to help me. But for now, I kind of enjoy the process, and obviously, I won't do that unless I'm like bored one night, you know, and I'll just go through my whole account and just do all my modding, and I'll get really nitty gritty with it and get all nerdy. Um, but modding's to your benefit, you know, and use it. It's not, don't treat it as a hassle. It's only there for you. It's only there for you to get better, to have better characters, and to outshine your opponents that have way more money, way more time in the game as well. Let's see what else. I wrote down some stuff before I started streaming, and a lot of this is just off the top of my head. But you know, it's stuff that I've really felt and that I've learned over the course of playing this game. And one of the things, like I said before, was the squad tab. So use the squad tab. Organize it for yourself, okay? It is another one of those tools that is there for your betterment. I feel like a school teacher that's teaching like high schoolers how to outline a paper and saying this is to help you, and then they're just like, oh, our teacher's forcing us to make an outline for our essay paper, and I'm like, no, I'm trying to teach you how to write a paper and make it easier for yourself. You know, like, trust me, when you organize all this stuff out, it makes the game so much more enjoyable, because you're not asking yourself, what do I do next? You're not like, what's going on? What do I do? What characters do I have? You have when you organize like your farm plan, for instance, you have a complete idea of the direction your account's going and what to focus after what, right? So, right now I'm focusing Wampa, right? That's my top priority, to get my Wampa to gear 11, probably trying to get as many max gear 12 stuff on him as possible, slots filled up, because he's not 7-star. I can't get him to gear 12 actually, so I'm trying to just get as much as possible so that he can kind of dominate in Grand Arena, get some solo banners while I work on getting him gear 12. And then right now, to get him to gear 10, the only piece of gear I need besides this is this guild piece of gear, and so I can't really get it, like farm it, unless it shows up in the store. So while I'm waiting for it to show up in the store and to get 50 of that, I'm working on my BAM team, right? And so, like, my Bo-Katan's really low. my IG-11's kind of low, so I'm kind of debating between the two because I just got Enfy's Nest to gear 11, right? So it makes it very easy to go like, oh, I can't focus this guy right now, so who do I focus next? And I go like, oh, these two. That makes a lot of sense, okay? And then after that, I'm like, you know what? Let's bite the bullet, finish our CLS squad. Our CLS squad will be dope. So then after I'm done farming certain units like Bo-Katan, and I'm farming Skiff Guard because Skiff Guard's gonna take a while. I'm gonna then start to farm these Ewoks, and I don't know if I'm farming. I don't think I'm farming 3PO right now, but when I get down to the CLS squad, that's probably when I'll farm 3PO and get him to 7 stars and really focus on fixing him up because I don't necessarily need him high star, high gear right now. But by the time I get him here, that's when I'll fix him up and focus him, right? So I think it's pretty useful to focus at one team at a time. And one of the things I've actually started to do is also do that with Zetas. So it may not be the most efficient way to do it, right? Where like maybe my next Zeta should instead go on to like, let's say Jango Fett lead, for instance, right? But my next Zeta is actually gonna go to my Beskar Armor Mando team, right? And I'm not gonna max out every Zeta. I'm not gonna put it on Bo-Katan Kryze. Did I say Bo-Katan team? I meant Beskar. Yeah, I said Beskar Armor team. I'm not gonna put an IG-11. The Zetas are gonna go to like Kuiil Enfy's Nest, and I think I'm gonna double Zeta Mandalorian, right? So I'm doing it this way because I kind of want to feel that once I finish a team, once I kind of get a team to a certain level for my specific level of play, I can just feel good at leaving them there and not feel like I missed out on something or not feel like one of the characters is like super low gear because that's what I've done in the past. I've gotten units to, okay, gear 8 3PO and Chewie, we got gear 12 CLS. All right, let's go do something else. But let's go build up our Hukatel. Like I've done that in the past. I want to really feel confident in leaving a unit there and being like, I can come back to you when I need it later on instead of just rushing to get you to like having this team be okay, like with certain units really highly geared, certain units really low geared. I want to create good teams now. I want to create a healthy roster after rushing the Executor and having such a neglectful roster. I really want to have more teams to experience the game in a better way. So use the squad tab, focus on one team at a time, and yeah, it's another thing that's just to your benefit. Some of the other things I have written down here is experiment and have fun. I created a third account that I call the Wacky Laboratory that's specifically for that. It's specifically for me to experiment with certain random teams and whatnot. So for instance, one of the teams I'm trying to create on that account is this Jango Fett team, but instead of Zam here, I'm putting in BT1. And the idea is BT1 can go first, apply damage over time to every enemy because BT1 has increased potency. Enemies have less and speed from Jango Fett lead, and potency from BT1's unique, and speed from BT1's unique. So BT1 can go first, then enemies also have decreased tenacity because of Jango Fett lead. So the idea is you can basically apply debuff to every enemy, and then those 4 bounty hunters, Jango Fett, Boba Fett, IG-88, and Dengar all have AoEs that they can just attack every debuffed enemy and just get their contract proc really fast. So I'm doing that on my third account because I don't want to take the time to gear up and mod BT1 to like gear 13, fucking, max speed, spend hundreds of dollars to get him 7 stars, put good mods on him so he can outspeed my Boba Fett relegate, type of thing. Even though I know relics don't increase speed, but like have my best mods on him, So I have a third account for that. So if you have more time in your hands and you find you have a lot of free time, you're bored or something, maybe another account might be fun to just do that experiments with. If not, then balance it out between, okay, I just made this really meta team. I kind of want to mess around with this off meta weird team. Like try building it up. You know what I'm saying? Like if I was strapped for time on my main account, I wouldn't go for the BT1 team because I couldn't get the max speed on BT1. But I would do is this or a Sing team, but instead of Bosk, I'd put Stormtrooper Han here and Greedo, but that's for another reason. That's, I can get into another day. Actually, I made a video about it if you want to see the video. I talked about like potential bounty hunter teams or whatever it's called. Um, but that's what I would be doing if I was strapped for time and only had one account. I would do Stormtrooper Han here instead, which I still might do actually. So experiment and have fun, balance it out with, going meta teams, off meta teams and whatnot. And yeah, that's a good point. Let's see what else I got on my little notepad I wrote over here. Oh. It's a learning process, and most people love to support new low rank players. Okay, so I was watching Arnold stream the other day when he was doing Grand Arena, and something really struck me because someone donated how they performed really well in Grand Arena and they were proud of themselves and they wanted to share it with them, because I think they listened to Arnold's advice about something and they said that it worked for them, right? And they said, I'm still Carbonite, but I'm still proud of it. And Arnold was like, hey man, like good for you. It doesn't matter what your rank is. Everyone's going to start somewhere. And I just found like really, I was like, it was a real moment where I just kind of like took a step back and was like, whoa, because I realized like that was me. Like I felt like that at one point, like I'm literally just bronzy. I'm one rank above that guy. But I was like, I felt like that before where you're like, damn, I'm proud of this accomplishment in Galaxy of Heroes, but there's players above me. This isn't that big of a deal, like you kind of try to minimize your own achievements when it's like don't minimize your own achievements in this game. Everyone starts somewhere and be proud of those achievements. And the point I wrote down was it's a learning process, and most people love to support new rank players. And when you're in Carbonite, when you're like me in Bronzium, don't feel ashamed of being low rank. Learn all this as learning experiences. I stream and I make so many mistakes in Grand Arena. It is humiliating. But everyone in chat's very nice and it's like, hey man, we've all been there. We've all been fucked by, our Darth Revan team that we thought we could easily beat or whatnot. And everything I try to do is like try to just learn from it, because that's the only way to really just get better at the game and have more fun, honestly. And supporting new low rank players. When I started to stream this game, I started to stream it like almost as soon as I started playing. So I learned from a lot of people in Twitch chat, and a lot of the better the players are, usually like they're really, I don't want to say the better they are, the nicer they are, right? Because everyone in the community is mostly nice. The overwhelming majority of the community loves to support new players. They love it when new players come in. They want to help them with the game. They want to make sure that they're getting off on the right foot so they don't make the same mistakes that they made. And everyone's very supportive because the biggest enemy is the whales and CG games. So don't be ashamed of where you are in the game. It's all learning experience. Everyone's been there. And this game is something where there's skill expression, but it's also a game a lot about experience, right? Experience and time you've played. And money, of course. But, that's just a factor that if you have it, you have it. If you don't, you don't, type of thing. There's two other points that I have here, and then I'll end it there. The 2 points. The first one is utilize undersized teams. It's simple. You can get Savage Oppress Omicron, Wampa Omicron, and get them to a decent gear level, especially if you're Carbonite or Bronzium, you get a pretty low gear levels, and they can solo banner win. Get solo banner wins for you, right? Or you can put Savage on defense with another team and you get some good holds. Or you could be like me and have a really high relic like R7 Vader and find that you can solo Gear 12 Geos, Sometimes you can solo certain relic Geos, right? And you can get some free max banner rewards from that way, not having to build up a full team, getting more banners, and it's a little more efficient, type of way to get banners. R7 is very expensive. I don't know if that necessarily is efficient, but I think undersized teams, even if it's just like 3 or 4, try to see if you can get away with it. You know, try to see if it works in your farm plan. And I recommend it. And then Omicrons will greatly help you. Uh, I did Omicron, great holds in low ranks, you know? I mean, Zam Omicron and Chrysanthemum Omicron has helped me so much with bounty hunters that are undergeared and whatnot on attack and defense. Um, I just got Wampa Omicron, can't wait to use it. Got Tuscan Omicron for 3v3 next month. Can't wait to put that on defense and hopefully like people don't know how to deal with it, you know, because I am Bronzium after all. Like you have to think about the opponents you're facing. They're low ranks. They might not have that knowledge of how to beat them. So try to use your Omicrons well, right? Think about them. Don't neglect them. Don't just sit on 40, you know? Try to be like, okay, where can I use my first Omicron if you're leveling up or you don't have an Omicron, right? Qui-Gon Jinn team could be good. It's nowhere near as broken as it once was, but it could still be really good. Iden Versio, still amazing, right? Wampa, easy solo banners. So use that to your advantage. And with that, I will bid you adieu, as I've rambled for far too long, as I always do. And I'm just happy to share my experience with you, share this milestone that I've hit. Hopefully, this encourages some of you guys to, you know, not make the same mistakes that I did. And yeah, if you like this type of content, then and you want to talk to me on stream, I stream basically every weekday, sometimes on the weekends for Grand Arena on twitch.tv/wacky_player, you know. And then also follow me on Twitter. I'm gonna try to be more active there, because I want to be a content creator. Be on the lookout for a bunch of stuff. Check out the Discord. I have some ideas for some fun stuff to do there. And thank you so much for watching. See you guys next time. Peace.